3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and here is my comic book box because I went to the comic book store today. And joining me, as always, we got Stan the Man and resident intern, celebrity, expert in all things trash is Forky, and he's here to join me as I do another comic book haul video. And thankfully, doing it indoors, not in the car. Holy crap! It was 110 degrees. And my air conditioning needs to be recharged. So I currently don't have that going on in my car. We're going to get into this. But before we do, you know what this channel's all about. Some channels unbox video games. They unbox technology, gadgets. I unbox burgers. That's what we got going on here. I swing by In-N-Out. And every time I go to the comic book store, not so much every Wednesday anymore because I'm trying to pare down my list, but I like to get a burger. And here we go. So, dun, dun, dun. This is cornball. I don't even know why I do this anymore, but people have grown to like it. They like seeing the burgers. Hopefully you have a really cool grub shop near you. Hopefully you have In-N-Out, but if you don't, hopefully you've got your favorite place where you can go. Comic books should be more than just reading books. I know a lot of people just pirate stuff off the internet and read it, and you know, I kind of understand that because so many comics these days aren't even worth, you know, buying and stuff. You don't have that enthusiasm. But if they're not worth buying, why are they worth reading? Get a different hobby. You know, like I've recently rediscovered some, you know, video games. Movies are great. There's a lot of great things. Well, one of the great things about comics is sort of the tradition in them. The ritual of every new comic book day, going to the shop, and, you know, having fun with it, talking to your friends, sharing that joy in that hobby. And there's something that mainstream comics give that you just can't get in normal, you know, in other hobbies. Like comics bring stories of virtue and heroism and goodness, and I think these are things that humans we hunger for. I think there's a reason why these things appeal to us. There's something core at our nature, and you know, you can sometimes get that in TV and movies, but not so much when it's a big corporatized thing, right? Usually the best stories come from a place of the heart, from a very personal place that can't just be manufactured. And that's why we're discovering today is comics are being manufactured. You know, here's a good example. We got this punchline thing. It just feels like it's just off the assembly line. I don't hate punchline, but it doesn't feel like it has any heart and soul. It just felt like, hey, we need a Harley Quinn replacement, you know, like, you know, punch in an order, you know, Amazon 2-day delivery, you know. So I don't know. It hasn't been lost. So comics is one of those mediums that someone can do out of their home. You know, you look at people like Richard Meyer, who got me back into comics. He's the guy, and that sort of rekindled that passion that I have. He's a guy who's making comics out of his bedroom. You know, like, it's pretty inspiring, whether you like his stuff or you don't. You know, he has a love for comics, and the people that he reaches. You know, he makes a difference. And there are a lot of indie books that I read that are pretty phenomenal, and it's hard to get that in a big manufactured thing. So I'm gonna quit blabbing so I can eat my burger. Also, I found this at the comic store. Check this out. Have you ever seen this? Dr. Pepper with cream soda. Sorry if the lighting is too harsh. I had to get one of these. So I love Dr. Pepper. I like cream soda. See if it's a good mix. I'll tell you later if it's a winner. But I'm going to go eat my burger, and then we'll get on with the comic call. All right, welcome back. And as always, thanks for indulging me on the silly burger thing. I know some of you might just come and happen to find my videos on YouTube just randomly. You're like, what the frick am I watching? It's just sort of an old tradition that I started way back in the beginning, and it's kind of stuck. I know it's corny. I feel silly doing it, but it's also fun. And I think everyone likes eating good grub and enjoying good comics, so they go together. Getting off on today's haul, it's kind of big for me normally more than normal because it's really 3 weeks. But it's also small for 3 weeks because this week I only got one book. So starting everything off, got Batman 99. Now I haven't read this yet. I haven't read most of these books that I have here, so I can't really talk about them. However, I can say a little bit that I'm enjoying Joker War up to this point more than I thought I would. I was kind of just like, grin and bear it. Joker War, just get through it. I'm just going to buy the main Batman and Detective books. I'm not going to cash out for all the other nonsense. Spoiler alert, Joker Warzone came out today, one shot, did not buy it. Then there's this book, which is a bit controversial. A lot of people talking about it. And normally this would be a book that I would rail against because I'm against these big, overpriced, overthick books. But let's take a look. I think you can guess what this is. But take a look at just how thick this is. This is a comic book. This is not a graphic novel. This is Detective Comics 1027. Now, by comparison, I just happen to have near me the Man of Steel trade paperback from the John Byrne Man of Steel book. This was, as you can see, back, what was it, in the 80s? It was $7.50 back then. Nearly, 35 years ago? I don't know how old this is. $7.50. Now let's take a side-by-side comparison. The Detective Comics is thicker. This is just a comic book. And it's $9.99. Now, I don't like $9.99 comics, and I've talked about this a lot of times before in the past with my buys. I was way okay with it for Detective Comics 1000 and Action Comics 1000. The latter only was $7.99 because it was a big milestone 1000th anniversary issue. I bought it as a keepsake, as to celebrate the thing. I didn't buy it because $10 comic, like 100 pages, like I don't care. I've always stuck by the argument that it's not about bang for your buck on page count. Sometimes that's important. That's why we buy omnibuses. The Walking Dead, those Walking Dead omnibuses that are like 50 comics each, and you can get them for like $30 now. That's crazy. It's less than $1 an issue. I mean, you get, and they're like a phone book. If you're old enough to remember what phone books are. Now, when it's an occasional special thing, I'm like, all right, but none of this like, it's issue 25, double size, double priced issue. No bullshit. I call foul. This epic 1000th anniversary of The Dark Knight, it's not. They missed the count because they're idiots, and this has been talked about at length. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But bravo to you, DC Comics, for trying to exploit, not bravo for trying to exploit us, but in your efforts to exploit us, you also made sure to throw in extra value. It's 144 pages. If I have to do that every 100 issues, I can suck it up if the book's good, hopefully. We'll see. We'll see if I keep buying it. Sticking on the DC theme, Justice League, Death Metal. I've been behind on the Death Metal. A lot of my enthusiasm got sapped out because when it launched, everyone was like, it sucks, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and I know not to trust everyone because there's sometimes where I'm like, I don't get why everyone's ragging on this. I'm the guy who likes Last Jedi, so I still stand by it. Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie not made by George Lucas. Like, it's absolutely the best of the Disney movie. I'm not here to argue that, but my point is I can stand against the storm of people criticizing it because I'm very confident in my own opinions. However, I saw Last Jedi on opening night. I didn't have anyone like sapping my enthusiasm. When it comes out from the get-go, it's like, oh, I'm excited about this, and I haven't seen the movie or something, and everyone comes and goes, no, dude, it's terrible. Then I don't know, I don't brave the storm, so to speak. So I haven't read the death metal stuff yet. I'm just kind of like, I know I'm gonna, because I like the first one a lot. I just feel like I'm gonna binge it, and I'm just getting the books that I collect normally. Justice League Dark, it's not a crossover. I'm still buying this. I'm not even reading it. Not because it's bad, but because I'm behind in my books and certain things slide. And the mainstream ones are the ones that slide the most. And last but not least, Batman, Superman. Joshua Williamson is probably one of the best writers DC has. He's knocking it out of the park with his Birthright series, which unfortunately appears to be on hiatus again, but that's okay. Comic books do not need to come out every month. They certainly don't need to come out every 2 weeks. And if you disagree with this, I argue it's because you're buying mediocre books. When things are mediocre, they must stay in your realm of attention. They must keep there, or you will forget about them and you'll move on. But when something's really good, like Star Wars used to be, I can argue that 20 years will go by, and then finally they'll do a new Star Wars movie, and it will break all the records, because fans, they don't like waiting. It sucks, but when it's really good, you will keep coming back. And I will definitely be back for Birthright, because that's one of the best books I'm reading. Now, moving on, this is all the DC. Moving on to Marvel. Venom 28. Because of decompression in books lately, I don't find myself, especially if it's not a super fantastic book that's left me on a cliffhanger, got to read the next one right away. Sometimes I just wait for a couple to pile up and then dive back in, because I feel like I read an issue, especially of modern mainstream books, and they're not full stories. Like you're reading like half of a chapter, and it's just like, and my memory is fading as I get older, and I'll like pick up the next issue the next month, and I'll be like, I don't even remember what happened the previous month, and that's not a good sign. But rest assured, Venom is still one of the books that I recommend from Marvel. It's one of the few, but it's just not out of this world at the moment. And I've read up all the way up to the start of this new series. What is it? Venom Beyond. I just need to pick it up again. I'm one of those types of people too, by the way. If I put something down, even if I love it, and it's out of sight, out of mind, I'm very much distracted by the next shiny. Like, ooh, what's this? And then as long as that has my attention, I don't go back. Not because I don't want to. It's just I'm a weird procrastinator. Then we've got Thor number 7. I don't remember reading number 6. So I'm sure I did. I know I'm caught up on Thor, but I don't know. I don't remember. It's good, but it's not great. It started off with a bang. There was actually something that happened. I think it was in issue 6. I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who haven't read it, but it has to do with Silver Surfer. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, shit. And I was just talking to Jimmy from Comic Works, and I was talking about one of the things I love about Donny Cates is even when his stories aren't super captivating, what I love is that he ties all of his stuff in. Like, he's got this own mini universe, and he's doing what Marvel should be doing as a whole and having everything matter. When you read Donny Cates books, whether the story is out of this world or whether it's just a base hit, they matter, what happens in his books. And if you want a place to start with Donny Cates, you've got to start with Thanos Wins. You can pick it up on sale digitally all the time. I mean, I got mine for like $2 on Comixology if you wait for the right time. Or if you don't like digital, pick it up and trade. I'm sure you can find a copy pretty easily. And what happens in that story, it in itself is pretty fun. I mean, he launched Cosmic Ghost Rider there. He introduced Silver Surfer Black there. But you didn't understand what they had in the bigger picture of things. And then he did a Silver Surfer Black comic, and then you're like, ooh, okay, this is this is how Silver Surfer became Silver Surfer Black, is essentially what the miniseries is for, because when you see him in Thanos Wins, you don't recognize him. And then you see Silver Surfer in this series, and you're like, oh my God, it's coming together. So that kind of gave me a little bit of a chubby, if you will. Speaking of best thing at Marvel, this is the best series. Daredevil, I'm caught up to issue 21. This is 22. Apparently Iron Man has got horns. We'll see if Chip Zdarsky can write Iron Man good, because that Iron Man #1, whoo boy, does it suck. Christopher Cantwell, I bought his issue #1 of Doom because I love Dr. Doom, and people told me, like, there was someone that watched my videos that left a comment, was like, Ash, you need to pick up Doom #1. Christopher Cantwell, he's a good writer. He writes for this TV show that I can't even remember now, and it was all in a good recommendation. And if you're that person and you're listening, no disrespect to you, but I bought that Doom #1. In fact, I bought one of the Chase variants, and it cost me like $10 because I love the cover so much. And I was like, ooh, I was all excited. I read that issue, and I was like, nope, done. It wasn't terrible like Iron Man #1, but I saw Cantwell in Iron Man #1, and I was like, I think the guy's nickname needs to be, or his new name needs to be Can't Write Well. I'm going to make that stick. Speaking of stick, so those are all the Marvels. DC wins again on the ratio count. But the books that really win me over are the independents. So there's Undiscovered Country. I'm a few issues behind, but this is a fantastic book. This is a book I wasn't going to originally get. I reviewed the first few issues just, because I do like Scott Snyder. I've heard good things about Charles Soule, but every time I give him a chance, I'm like, you're just kind of mediocre. I don't know why people talk highly about you. But this collaboration is working, and the art is getting better and better, and I love the concept. That's a big deal if you're going to sell me on a new indie book, if it's not superheroes, because that's what I'm into comics for, is the superheroes. I do like sci-fi and other genres, but you need to sell me on the concept and the idea. I really like Undiscovered Country. It's kind of like Lost. Well, it's kind of like Lost, but then not really. But it has that same what the hell's going on feel that the TV show Lost gave us. So I recommend that book. I started reading, reviewing the issues, and I was like, you know what, I need to pick this up. So I think when issue 4 came out, I was like, nope, because I was going to wait for the trade, and I was like, no, I do want to get this because it's getting better and better, and I do like collecting comics. If you're going to give me an ongoing comic, I will collect it. Miniseries, one-shots, you really have to sell me on those, especially with miniseries, because I can wait for the trade, and I feel like might as well. Speaking of waiting for the trade, don't wait for the trade on Blade Runner. This book I get because of Wes over at Thinking Critical. I mocked it at first because, #1, I think licensed books are usually a bad idea. You're going to take some chintzy comic writer and you're going to give him an IP, especially a really good, I don't buy the Star Wars comic books, right? Because, first of all, Hollywood can't do Star Wars movies. There's one guy who can do Star Wars, it's George Lucas. And everyone that tries mostly fails, especially comic book writers. And you don't even put A-list, you never see the top writers, I'm not going to see Robert Venditti doing Star Wars. I might buy a Robert Venditti Star Wars, right? I might buy, whoever your favorite author is, you think, but I tried the Charles Soule. Everyone's like, oh, Charles Soule, man. I read his, when they rebooted Star Wars, no, not good. And speaking of Star Wars, I know I use that. It's kind of my bar. It's the thing I like to compare everything to because it's shaped my life and my view of fiction and writing and heroism and so many different things. This is another book that I didn't think I was going to buy, but I love it. Probably my #1 book. If I had to cancel all my books and you said, Ash, you can only collect one book, what's it going to be? It might be Ascender. I think this is a book I love. It has a female protagonist, which I normally don't gravitate towards at all. I know some people might call me chauvinistic at the lightest, or misogynistic at the worst, because that's how we are today. But no, I'm a guy. I like reading about guys. because I relate more to male protagonists because I am a male. Like, it's not that I don't like female protagonists, I just don't relate to them as well. And for that reason, I completely understand why women like reading about female protagonists. It just seems natural to me. But there are great stories with female protagonists. James Cameron's one of my favorite filmmakers, and he regularly does female protagonists from Sarah Connor to Ellen Ripley. It's cool. It's just, I don't normally expect it, especially when it's a little 12-year-old girl. But it's a fantastic story. It's a fantastic world. I just like the writing. It's fun. It's a big adventure. It's not trying to be pretentious and super deep. It's just a fantasy, space fantasy, which you don't get very often either. So that's all my books today. It's a big pull. Well, some people, it's like, that's not a big pull, Ash, but as for me, just a regular Comic Call video. I'm saving the Ash Wednesday quote-unquote videos for the things when I have like a topic, so I can put it in there. And that way, maybe there's a reason to go back and visit them, after, like months down the road, you might want to just hear. But if Comic Call, you're probably not going to care a year from now. Hey, what did Ash pick up on September of 2020? But whatever. It's fun. I like seeing what other people pull. And if you do a YouTube channel and you do Comic Call videos, please. I like Comic Call videos. And there's some that I watch that are kind of off and on, and then they stop. And then there's some that I'm like frustrated with because they're like, here's this book, here's this book, here's this book. And it's like, you're just showing me books. I know what came out. Tell me a little bit about why you buy it. Just a little bit, like something. You don't have to give it a full review. You don't have to be long in the tooth as me, going on and on, blabbing. But if you just say like, oh, here's a sender, moving on, like, say something. I want to get a sense of why you like it. Whether or not it's for me or not, I don't know. It may not be. If you're like, look, I just bought the new issue of Harley Quinn, I'm going to be like, oops, not for me. But I like hearing why other people like it, why you. Or if you don't like it, maybe you're buying the book and you're just like, oh, I'm still buying this. And I'm, like I used to be with Tom King Batman. I'd be like, oh, God, it's another Tom King Batman. Why am I not canceling this? Because I'm a fool. Because I was a loyal. Once I get on a pull, I'm like loyal to the book. It's tough. And that's why I think when you get people to leave, when you get collectors to leave a title, it's so hard to get them back. Anyways, I've gone on way too long. It's good to be back. It's good to do these videos. Hopefully I can do them more regularly. Most likely I'll probably be doing them every other week. Because just my life right now has made it difficult to even keep up with comic books, then having to do videos. And then when you try to cram that stuff in when you don't have the time, it starts to feel like a second job, but you're not getting paid for it. And then the expectations start wearing on you. And then as they wear on you, it makes it less fun. And then it makes it less fun. Then it just builds upon itself. And I do like doing this. It is fulfilling, but I need to take it easy and be casual. Because like I said, this is just a hobby for me. It's not monetized or anything. So thanks for watching. Please put in the comments the books that you got on this haul or the last two hauls, because this is like a 3-week video. Put the books that you're really into, maybe. If you don't want to list your whole, put the top books. I don't know, whatever. I like hearing about what other people are into and what you're getting. Sometimes it leads me into super gems like this. What else? Yeah. Oh, this too. This is Sergeant Bats led me into Daredevil. I would not even be reading Marvel if it wasn't for that. So thanks for watching. I'm really out this time. See you next time.